Man, oh man, what a week it's already starting to be. It's Tuesday and we have a flurry of news from rumours to great successes to a bunch of other stuff, including news on a potential leak that could detail when the next Xbox is actually landing, and it could be arriving sooner than you think. Well, at least some people think. But you know what? Let's get into it. Let's have the drop. So the first thing we're going to start with, of course, is the rumour going round that a Gears of War collection will be revealed for PS5 this summer. Now, this has been a rumour that's been going around for the best part of about 3 years now. At least that's how it feels. But anyway, year on year, this rumour has been going around, and year on year, this information has been debunked. I mean, it's obvious it's going to land. Now, I did read somewhere in the comments someone turning around and saying, shouldn't PlayStation fans be worried about, PlayStation not releasing first-party games for their platform? And my response to that is, they don't need to worry because Xbox is feeding them quite well. I'm sorry to say, but that is just the way it is. PlayStation will release their first-party games when they're ready. For now, Xbox is filling up that hole in their catalogue quite nicely. The big story, of course, is Call of Duty. Now, Call of Duty this year is going to release on PS4 and Xbox One. Now, this is something that I've actually can't believe in 2025 it is still happening. 5 years into the generation and we are still supporting the previous gen consoles. This is crazy. But it seems that the PS4 and Xbox One, it's a wild decision supporting last gen in 2025. I mean, even they say. And, in my opinion, this is one of the reasons for the actual downfall of gaming this year. I know there's been some really highs, but there's been some really lows as well. And supporting the last gen is pretty much one of the primary reasons why that has happened. But fret not, because in 2026, Call of Duty, when they released a yearly game, apparently it's being developed for the next Xbox, which means that it will be a launch title for the next Xbox. Thankfully, it looks like they will finally drop the PS4 and the Xbox One, but it does mean that they are going to support the Series S and X. Basically meaning that if all of these games are basically going to play together, then the game can only be as supported and big as the lowest denominator, which, you guessed it, is the Series S. So, will that cause a problem going forward? Who knows? I'm really hoping that with the next Xbox, that is not really that big of, the emphasis on supporting last gen isn't that big, because at the end of the day, there are multiple things that can come into this as a game developer, and supporting last gen hardware literally just means that you are essentially handicapped at what you can do. And we've seen this with Insomniac games as well, with the Horizon games, where they wanted to add a number of features, but because they had to support the PS4, not the PS4 Pro, but the PS4, because that's the lowest denominator, they simply couldn't. So hopefully we'll get past that point sooner rather than later. And, with Call of Duty being as big as it is, I guess it kind of makes sense. It's not really that demanding of a game. But for the future games, I really hope that it's going to be few and far between. And as you can see here, Call of Duty 2026 is being developed for the next generation Xbox, it's claimed, which basically means that the next generation Xbox could have a 2026 release date in November. It makes sense. That's the October, November is the, time that Call of Duty comes out. So making it a release title for that seems like a good push. Scalebound is a game that kind of came and then Phil Spencer went along and nuked it and said this really wasn't what it was shaping up to be. Now, Hideki Kamiya says that he still wants to make Scalebound. I'd love to make it someday. Let's do it, Phil. Now, he's reached out a number of times now to Phil Spencer and made this claim a few times, where he's openly admitted that the fault for the game's original downfall and being cancelled was on them, on Platinum Games. But they've learnt a lot over the years and over the time with other games and gained a lot of experience, and they now believe that they are in a good place actually believe this from last year as well, when they tried to reach out to Phil and made public statements that they want to make this happen. Hopefully Phil will listen, because this is a game that a lot of people at the time were looking forward to, and some actually even got rid of their consoles because this game was cancelled, as this was their most sought after game. So who knows, maybe this will land at some point, but time will tell. Will Phil actually take it upon him and make this happen? I really hope so. This was one of the games that I actually was really looking forward to at the time, and to see Hideki Kamiya actually interested and desiring to make this come to fruition and become a reality is always a great thing. So if the passion is there, the desire is there, Phil, just make it happen. So this one is really cool, because modders have created a tool to recompile Xbox 360 games into native PC ports. Now you do need to own the disc, and essentially it takes your disc game and turns it into a native PC port. People have already managed to get Sonic Unleashed running, and it looks absolutely gorgeous. Now I'm not sure if there's any screenshots down here. No, there isn't. But this opens up a whole world of possibilities for like Lost Odyssey, 99 Nights, you know, there's really cool games, Blue Dragon, that kind of came and went and haven't really been, you know, seen again. This kind of gives them a whole new fresh light. And running at 4K, 120 FPS, Sonic Unleashed at least looks really, really good. So I'm hoping the other games will get the same treatment. This recompiler does a bit of magic as well, but do you know what? I'm all for it. And I'm trying to figure out how it actually works, because I'd definitely like to try this out. Monster Hunter Wilds, despite having a plethora of issues, and it looks like modders have taken it upon themselves to fix a bunch of issues. In fact, one DLL file alone can fix like a ton of problems, from stuttering to frame rate issues to textures not loading in correctly to a whole bawoozer of stuff. They've also managed to allow you to change your appearance without actually paying for it, which Capcom can't be too happy about. But do you know what? At this point, I think Capcom should just take the L on that and take the win on the fact that people are fixing their game when they couldn't, because they have sold over 8 million copies in 3 days. It is the fastest selling Capcom game to date, which is amazing. It just shows that even if a game has problems, even if a game has performance issues, bugs, as long as it's a great game, the game is going to sell. It's going to do well. And from what I've heard, this roughly translates to just under or around $500 million for them. You know what? Well done, Capcom. This is really good news, and congratulations on, I guess, your most successful Monster Hunter game to date. I know some people will say that this game hasn't really done anything new, but it really has, with the real-time weather effects, the mounts that you can use, and a bunch of other stuff that they've added to the game. There has been some stark changes to this that have pushed the genre and the game to new territory, and in my opinion, it's for the better. And I guess, you know what? 8 million people agree with me, so good on you, Capcom. Now this one is awesome, right? So it looks like Namco Bandai is looking at ways to strengthen their licensing business, because they're not making these games and they've got no plans to do anything with it. But Ridge Racer and Soul Calibur could be coming back as they look to license the IP out to other people to actually use that license and make a game. Now, I've been a huge fan of Ridge Racer since its inception. I've loved it. It's been one of my favorite racing games, and I'm so excited. You know, I know there's literally no news about this, but just hearing Ridge Racer, the possibility that they could be going back to another Ridge Racer, has made me all giddy and excited. I don't care where it lands, this will be a day one for me, because it is my favorite racing franchise, outside of, like I say, Daytona, which is always going to have a special spot for me with the Dreamcast. But Ridge Racer is one of my favorite racers of all time, period. And I really hope that this becomes a reality. I really hope someone picks it up, because there really is nothing like Ridge Racer out on the market. Dying Light. It seems the Beast's map location is hidden in the game's first trailer, and Techland said nobody has found it. That's quite interesting, considering Dying Light has been out for ages. The beast map location, you know, isn't overly that new, but it looks like they actually hid stuff in the trailers. Might be worthwhile actually paying attention to these trailers going forward, because now they're starting to hide stuff in there, being a bit more brazen, and I actually really love it when they do stuff like that. Reminds me of that time when the Star Citizen devs put a bunch of stuff into the source code, and when they released the update to the beta servers for people to beta test, everyone started data mining and got all excited that all of this stuff was coming. And then when the update released, nothing was there, and then the developers were like, oh, sorry, that was just useless code we put in there. We forgot to remove it. You gotta love it. That's a nice way to get back at data miners. Well, folks, if you've enjoyed the video this far, do consider hitting a like and subscribe. Hit that bell to stay up to date with all content I release. You can support me further by hitting that super thanks if you've really enjoyed the video, or by becoming a YouTube member by clicking that shiny join button and getting content like this earlier than anyone else. I will be streaming tonight at around 7:45, 8 PM here on this channel, where we'll be discussing the day's news and other stories as well. And hopefully I'll see you there and we can have a good discussion. Well, that's it. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Remain legend.